All right. Welcome to a late night jam session. We are going to talk about all things social media. Everything I've learned over the past 2 years. Part of my task tonight is to put on outlet covers um, at the property I'm at. I'm here in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, getting the property ready for the launch of our corporate retreat and investor workshop. So that is what our property is catered to. And so took the long 3-day weekend to spend the 4th of July here, get some stuff done, do a little bit of fun stuff with the family, all that good stuff. So while I'm putting on outlet covers, we're going to talk about social media training. So I'm going to share everything I've learned over the past 2 years. And so I've had the pleasure of learning from Pace Morby, which is the greatest guy on planet Earth in terms of social media branding. And no one does it better than Pace. And I've had a front row seat to learning directly from him. And I'm going to share a lot of what I've learned. So this is going to be a lot of value. And what I'm doing right now is creating a brand, right? And I want part of that brand to be every single time I speak, I'm providing value. So that way, when I am speaking, people actually listen, right? Because I don't want to be giving or producing content out there that's not adding value. And we're going to get into that in a second. But first, we're going to talk about my journey. So, getting started in social media. Actually, yeah, we'll come back to that in a second. So, first, how I got started. So, I was really excited in the beginning when Pace had this huge push to do social media. And he was talking about how important a brand was. By the way, I'm literally installing outlet covers as I'm doing this. So you're going to hear intermittent interruptions, but I'm also going to give an incredible amount of value. So back when I first got started, Pace was talking about you need to be producing content. You need to be producing content. Branding. That is the missing link to everything you're looking for. As far as your goals, financial goals, raising capital, getting more deals, all that stuff, right? So, and I think at a fundamental level, everyone knows that, but hardly anyone wants to actually take action. And so I decided to just take action, and he came out with this thing called Project Forward, and I decided to dive all in. And whenever someone creates some sort of like gamification or competition, I usually kill it because I'm really, really competitive. So he created homework. I did the homework. I got into this exclusive group. And that's what kind of kick-started my journey into creating content. And I started creating content. And I was putting a lot of time, effort, and energy into creating content with very, very little return. So I spent hours upon hours producing what I thought was high quality videos at the time, at least, which they were probably pretty terrible. I'm sure I'm going to look back on the videos that I'm producing now and think how terrible the quality is. So it's just an ever evolving process. But when I started producing content, I was putting so much effort into it and getting so little results. Became really, really frustrated. And a lot of people were focusing on the vanity metric of what those results were. And, it's hard not to, right? Like if you're trying to measure success, what do you have to measure success? Well, it's usually views, right? Like views on social media, views on YouTube, views on whatever social media platform you're on. And if you're putting hours upon hours of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, and you're not getting any results, that's a tough pill to swallow, right? So that's exactly what I did. I put in a lot of effort, got very little results, and I was extremely discouraged. And I just stopped. I stopped for several months. I started a YouTube channel. I started really putting out a lot of content. I did that for probably 3 or 4 months, and I just gave up. I was like, screw this. This is just taking up so much time. I'm not getting any result, no benefit. Right? No benefit. So let me go downstairs. This property I'm at right now is a pretty big mess, and I want to show you a really, really important example to really drive home what I'm talking about. So let's take a look at this property. I have literally chairs on the freaking dining room table, right? My kids, they didn't clean up today, shocker. They got magnets all over the place. The property looks a lot better than when it started. Hard to believe because it's still a mess. I got all this furniture. We had just painted the property or had it painted. And you can see all this stuff is in disarray. And if you go around and look at everything, why is it an investor can look at a property that's filled with mess, kind of like how this property is right now, and see past it? Kitchen's a mess, everything's a mess. Why can investors see past that, all the mess? Because it's just like surface level stuff. And look at the long-term vision of the property, right? What happens when things get cleaned up? The value is going to be significantly higher than it is if, you're showing properties that are like really, really messy. I know a lot of investors that will actually buy a property. All they'll do is put a little bit of money into cleaning it, literally cleaning it, and then they'll flip it, put it back on the market, and make like $20,000 or $30,000. Why? It's because someone couldn't take the time to clean up the mess. Someone came in, saw the vision, they cleaned up the mess, and they relisted it, right? They made it all pretty again. Well, what I had failed to see, and what a lot of people fail to see, is, you think about taking action, doing social media, thinking you have to be perfect, and everything has to be perfectly scripted. You can never mess up. And even if it is perfect, no one watches your content, right? And it's very, very challenging, So why is it investors can do that, but we can't do that with social media? We can't look past the mess, the imperfections, and just do it. Just clean it up. And how we clean it up in terms of, branding and social media is just taking action, just doing the thing, failing over and over and over and over again, and no one's watching, right? It doesn't matter if no one's watching. It's actually great that no one's watching, because you can fail over and over and over again and know that no one's watching. No one cares, right? And you can continue to mess up. And eventually, the more and more reps you take, the better and better you're going to become. And that's what really clicked for me on social media. Tonight's live, right? There's hardly anyone watching, but I don't care. And that's part of it. I didn't tell anybody that I was going live. I'm just doing it because I'm a very strong advocate of killing five birds with one stone. And my five birds is I have to do a task that I really don't want to do, which is putting outlet covers on the wall. Why not talk about something and give value and create a clone of what I'm doing while I'm doing something I don't enjoy, which is exactly what I'm doing. And so I was at Pace's office a few months ago. This is probably like 6, 7 months ago. And when I was at his office, I went to a capital raising seminar. I went there like he did it like literally every week for 6 weeks. And I went there 4 of the 6 weeks. Like every week I was flying to Phoenix, going to his office, sitting in the seminar, listening to the trainings. And he, started talking about social media. He had one day where he was talking about social media. And he said something that really resonated with me that day. And it was around putting out content. Very similar to what I just said. He said, "Why are you so concerned about other people's opinions? You are not famous. Just post content. No one is watching. Your content is absolute garbage. I don't care who you are. It sucks," right? And so when he said that, that was kind of like a slap in the face because I was putting so much effort into creating content, and I thought it was really good at the time. And he was just like, "Your content sucks. No one." He wasn't talking to me specifically, but he was just talking in general. No one's watching your content. Your content sucks. You're not famous. Like, why are you getting in your head about creating content? It doesn't have to be perfect. Even if it is perfect, you're not going to get the reach that you want, right? Until you've established your brand and have a large following, right? And so when he said that, I was like, dude, you're totally right. I'm sitting here trying to make everything perfect, and then I'm getting frustrated that I have like 3 followers on YouTube. Well, now I have over 15,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube. So, I mean, a lot's changed on that because I put a lot of time, effort, and energy into it. But I really didn't start being very consistent at YouTube until about 6 to 7 months ago when I went to that Capital seminar. And that's when I became really active and really committed to doing content. And so I say that because you just need to take action. Like it's not rocket science, right? Just fail, create content out there. It's not about becoming famous. It's about creating content in a way that you can establish yourself and establish some sort of brand to where if someone is doing a check on you, like I don't care what your avenue is, if you're in business, if you're in real estate, whatever it is that you do, someone that you're talking with beforehand is going to look you up on social media. Every single time I talk to an agent, they're looking me up on social media. I guarantee you, every single time. I've had times where agents have brought stuff up to me in conversations about my content on social media that I've never shared with them in any conversation. So, like, immediately it was like, okay, I know you were clearly looking me up online. I've had times where I'm in the middle of a negotiation with an agent and they, friend request me on Facebook. They'll follow me on social media. So they're clearly looking. They're trying to figure out if I'm a credible buyer, right? And if this is business, they're trying to figure out who you are as a person. So even if your content sucks, you just want to create enough of content to establish the fact that, hey, this person is serious. You know, chances are when someone goes onto your page, or like when I go onto someone's page, I'm not going to sit there and consume hours upon hours of content, right? So I'm 15 minutes into this video or this live, and I'm going to say some stuff that is going to be extremely valuable for people watching. But the reality is, not a lot of people are going to make it to 15 minutes. So you need to keep that in mind. And it's not because what I'm saying is not good, it's because people are only going to pay attention to things for 10, 15 seconds because that's what this culture has trained people to do. Swipe, 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 unless you have some like crazy, funny thing that's going viral, no one's going to watch it, right? So you just need to think about that when you're creating content. When I go onto your page, what do you want your desired audience to see within the first 45 seconds? Because that's, in reality, that's all you're going to have. You're going to have about 45 seconds to a minute. Someone is going to be scrolling through your page, your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube, whatever, and they are going to make a decision on who you are as a person within those 45 seconds. They're probably never even going to click on any of your videos. And if they do, they're going to click on it for 3 seconds and that's it. And they're going to move on to something else. They just want to know what kind of a person this is, how they present themselves. So again, if you're thinking about YouTube, thumbnails are extremely important. Titles are extremely important. Does this person look like they're taking their profession serious? Are they producing content? Are they producing valuable content? What are the subjects that they're posting? All that kind of stuff, right? That's it. It doesn't matter how many views you have. Doesn't matter how many subscribers you have. Well, I will say having a lot of subscribers and a large following, it does help significantly. Like, it does help that I have a pretty decent amount on YouTube. It doesn't help that I don't have a ton on Instagram, but I'm working on, becoming more active on Instagram. Like, I hate to say it, but the vanity metrics, like, they do sometimes matter by people, because a lot of times people just look at that and they get fixated on those vanity metrics. I don't really think it's that important. I think it's more important about like what you're saying. But I got really in my head about creating content until I just started doing it. And I was just like, you know what? I don't care if anyone's watching. I'm just going to create content. And Pace said something the other day in Owners Club training. Actually, this was at the Owners Club retreat in Monterey, California that I just got back from. And he had said this before. And sometimes I got to hear things 2 or 3 times before it like really sticks in my head. And he has such a fantastic way of creating these like really simple catchphrases that stick with you. And the catchphrase that he came up with was, if you're creating content, it should either be an aha or a ha-ha. And I was just like, man, that's freaking brilliant. So every single time I make a post, I'm thinking in my head before I make the post, is this an aha or a ha-ha? And what he means by that is you need to be leading with value. And so Pace broke down this like content flywheel, and he had this map that he drew that structured everything in terms of like Instagram reels and how you attract people, to become like new audience members, and how like everything all funnels down into, at the end of the day, an invitation. Like if you're trying to sell like a workshop or whatever, like whatever you're trying to sell, whatever you're trying to monetize, that's like the end of the funnel. And you don't deserve the right to sell someone that invitation, whatever that end, monetization, whatever that hook, that end result of that call to action, whatever you want to call it, you don't deserve to do that until you've given value 10 times to one of whatever you're asking someone to buy from you. You don't just blast out an email to a bunch of people and say, buy my seminar. Okay, first of all, who the heck are you, right? Like, why are you asking me to buy your seminar? Second, I'm just going to hit delete. I'm not even going to read the email. There are so many people. So in my day job, I'm a CFO. I'm trying to get better at this. I've been notoriously bad at checking my emails at work. And I got 3,000 unread emails. It's a lot of emails. Obviously, that didn't happen in one day. And I keep trying to power through them, but it's so hard because I get hundreds and hundreds emails a day. People are literally just selling me things. It's to the point, I'm not even I'll look at the subject line and it'd be like, delete. I'm not even reading any content of your email. If I get just 1% hint of you trying to sell me something, delete. Just gone. Not even going to look at it. So doesn't matter if you phrase your pitch in the first sentence, the second sentence, the fifth sentence, gone, right out the window. And if you think about it, it's because that person did not lead with value. No value was generated, right? If that person had sent me some content or a direct message, if I think about my work scenario, right? If I think about if I'm a sales guy, how can I get to someone like me if I want to get their attention? And I'll talk about how you can do that in real estate too, because, well, I at least know how people can get my attention. That works pretty well, whether it's a good thing or not. But in the work scenario, someone could find some sort of channel. I think if I was going to reach out to an executive, for example, like myself, I would probably send them a DM on LinkedIn, and it would be like a link to a post or something that I've created, a video. If someone sent me a custom video, I'm watching that because I understand the value. And I think a lot of people, you would get people's attention if you sent a custom video to someone. It's like, oh, wow, they took the time to respond to me and send a custom video. I'm going to watch this. I want to hear what they have to say. So I would send them a custom video, lead with value, give me something as the audience member that is actually something I'm learning, right? Then say, hey, I have this newsletter. If you like this video, subscribe to this newsletter. I promise that I'll give you value in this newsletter. And just do something like that, or maybe send another direct, maybe follow up with another DM, a couple weeks later with another, tip that I would find valuable, and just build a relationship through that of just giving value. So when Pace talks about your post should be an aha or a haha, he's talking about the aha part is something that has added value. People at least if you're, at least in my audience, or the people that I want to be connected with, it's people that want to grow. It's people that want to further themselves in life. They're motivated. They have goals they want to achieve. And anytime I personally can be connected with someone that is constantly posting content, and it's little tidbits of value, whether that be how to make better content. There's some people I follow that I'm only following them not because of what they say, but it's how they say it. It's the videos they produce, the angles, the thought. I look at it as a creator as far as, okay, that's interesting. They did this scene and this hook. They said this in the beginning. They dropped this value. Not necessarily focused on the subject matter of what they're saying, but how they delivered it, how they packaged it up. I'm constantly learning. So I follow people for that. I follow people that just give value. in whatever they're posting, right? So that's the aha part, is giving value in your content. Every single time I make a post, I'm thinking, is this an aha or haha? Am I giving value? Because if I'm not giving value in my post, then it should be a haha, meaning I should be making people laugh. Like there should be a funny hook in my video, something that can be shared with other people. Like if you think about it at the most fundamental thing, would you share this video with your friend that you just posted? Like you should be asking yourself that question when you're making a post. Because getting your name out there and getting in front of an audience is really, really important, for whatever goal you have. So that's just something that I think you should be thinking about. And everything I do is focused around giving value when I'm making posts on social media. Every single time. For example, I have this newsletter. It is a Morby Method newsletter. I am launching a workshop here in this property that I'm at in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, getting it cleaned up. That workshop is probably going to be sometime in the middle of September. So I have this newsletter. What do? I have people that are reaching out to me on a daily basis asking me about Morby Methods because I've developed a brand around Morby Methods as far as me being a subject matter expert in them, right? Do I just blast every single person and say, hey, I'm launching this workshop. Come to this workshop. You're going to get value. How well do you think that response is going to go? Not very well. What did I do instead? I have this newsletter. When you sign up for the newsletter, you get, oh, cool, I finally see Facebook comments. I changed my settings here on StreamYard. I couldn't see Facebook comments before, but now I can. So it took me like 15 minutes to figure that out. So I'm glad I see that actually working. I appreciate that comment, Tony. I didn't see that. That was 10 minutes ago. So on this newsletter, when you sign up, I have a landing page and I have a video that convinces you why you should be signing up for the newsletter because I'm giving you value, right? I'm giving you a 4-day free training on Morby Methods. Day 1, I explain I can't remember how long the video is, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. What is a Morby Method, how I do a Morby Method, and how it's different than how it's traditionally taught, and how I think it's safer, and I involve an attorney, and I explain the whole structure of it, all that stuff. Day 2, how do you find Morby Method opportunities? Day 3, how do you underwrite Morby Method opportunities, which is the number one question I get all the time from people asking me how to underwrite Morby Methods. I literally giving this away all for free in this newsletter. Day 4, I talk about the structure, the legal contracts, how I close on these types of transactions and do it legally. I give it's over 3 hours of training for free. And why? I'm leading with value in everything I'm doing. I'm building trust with my audience. I'm not coming out and saying, hey, buy my ticket to my seminar. No, I'm leading with value. I'm not asking for anything in return. And 99% of the people signed up for that newsletter will never buy anything. And that is completely okay. I mean, I am focused on just giving value. The other hidden superpower of, where did I put my drink? The other hidden superpower of social media is creating clones. So when you create clones, if you think about, I think everybody has something in their life where they get asked the same question over and over and over and over again, right? I create clones, as Pay says. I create clones so I can automate and I don't have to answer the same question over and over and over again. I get a lot of DMs and people are asking me the same thing over and over and over and over again. And what's amazing is that now that I have this 4-day free training that I give away for free, there is a 90% chance that someone sending me a DM asking me a very specific question, which they think is very specific to their situation, is not really super specific to their situation. It's really just the method in general of Morphe methods. Very, very high chance that their question is covered in that training. So now, not only do I have a good lead funnel, I also have clones that help me with the training, right? I don't have to answer someone's question. Also, when someone sends me a DM, I have to take like brain capacity to think about their question and then articulate an answer. And to try to do that over chat and like a direct DM, that takes a lot of brain power. You know, I'm typing up a long drawn out message and I'm trying to give value to someone because I have this like innate social pressure that if I don't give value in my response to that person, especially with it being over text, like over a DM chat, I may come off like an asshole, right? And I don't want to come off as an asshole. So I want to provide value to them. Well, now that I have these trainings in place, I can literally just send them the link and say, hey, the question that you're asking for is in this training, and you're going to learn way more beyond your question just by watching this training. And so they're getting free value. I mean, I'm not selling anything, just free value. So you need to be thinking about giving, that 10-to-1 ratio. Give over and over and over and over and over again before you earn the right to sell anybody on anything. And so every week I'll be posting a newsletter and I'll be giving away free value, not selling anyone on anything. Literally just saying, hey, here's like, for example, I'm working with a guy in sub 2. His name's Chris, and I'm helping him get his first deal through Morphe methods. So we sit down every week or so and we film step by step the whole process of him getting a deal. And I send that out to people in the weekly newsletter and say, hey, here, follow along Chris. He's getting his first deal step by step, right? And then I'm also going to start sending out deals of the week, deals that I'm closing, deals that I've already closed, deals that my friends are closing, partners are closing, and explaining and doing the breakdown of how they close it, all of that for free, right? And then eventually, at some point down the road, whether that be like probably a month from now, a month and a half from now, when I start sending, they're going to have 3, 4, 5 weeks of deal of the week, deal of the week, deal of the week, deal of the week. Eventually, then, because I've earned the right at that point to sell someone, I'm then going to sell this workshop, right? And I'm going to say, how would you like to earn a deal a week? Come to this workshop and I'll show you exactly how, step by step. Now, if I started with that, first of all, no one's going to respond. They're just going to delete my email. But now that I've spent 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks of delivering value week after week after week, and people are learning so much from this newsletter, they're going to be like, dude, this guy's giving so much value. This guy's insane how much value he's giving. I can't imagine what he would give in terms of value at a paid event. And that's what you want as far as the results in social media. And so that's what I think about whenever I am doing social media posting. It all comes from a foundation of building trust with your audience and creating value. So it's an aha or a haha. If I'm not adding value in my post, I'm making people laugh, I guess the third one I would say is just me posting about um, my family, just kids, that kind of stuff. That's probably the one that's like, I don't care. It's not fitting within those two categories. I'd say there's three categories. It's going to be an aha, haha, or family. Those are the three categories. You're not going to see any other post not fitting within those three categories. And that is like in my opinion, the most critical part to understand about social media and branding. And to be very straight to the point. Like right now, for example, 35 minutes into my live, that's a lot of time for someone to sit there and listen to. Like I don't, it'd be interesting to see the people like actually watching and the count of like who, but I guarantee you it's like people coming in for 35 seconds or a minute dropping off, right? And people coming in, dropping off, people coming in, dropping off, people coming in, dropping off. And why? It's because for the majority of people, I'm not capturing their attention enough. It's because their attention is so short because of the way we have TikTok, Instagram, all the social media, that if I'm not feeding in those, um, not endorphins, I don't know what to call it, whatever, those chemicals to the brain, telling them that this is entertaining with me doing like scene cuts left and right and doing like funny or like doing different transitions to capture attention, people aren't going to watch it, right? So you do have to keep that in mind if your goal is to aim for like a really, really wide reach and make things like viral. But I think your focus should not be on going viral. It should be on creating value. So I guess I'll leave it with this because I actually was planning to go live and put outlet covers, as I mentioned at the very beginning, around the property. And I just realized that during this entire live, I've put one outlet cover on. So I just kind of started getting into the rant. So now we know that I am not a good multitasker, as my wife would tell me that I'm a terrible multitasker, and she is right. 1000% right on that. And such a bad multitasker that I actually forgot the last point that I was going to make for tonight. Man, what was the last point that I was going to make? It was a good one. It was such a good one. I swear it was a good one. Maybe I'll just keep rambling for a few minutes and then eventually it will come back to me. But I think as far as posting, oh, I got it. It didn't take me that long. I got it. So, another thing that people don't think about is, or one of those aha moments for me was back in this owner club retreat last week or 2 weeks ago in Monterey. Pace was talking about, or actually, I think it was the week after, he did a Sunday Zoom with all Owners Club members. And he was telling people, he was breaking down social media. And he was saying, I don't even schedule social media in my calendar. My whole life is social media. And he was showing us like what he does. He's literally filming like all day long. And then when things pop up with, things that give him inspiration or ideas, he's posting it. He is not like, he actually posts way more than people may think as far as him posting, because it's easy to look at him and be like, oh, cool, Pace, you have 20 people on your social media team, of course you have all this like perfect content. He's actually the one posting like a lot of his content, to be honest. And he is doing that in real time. Like when I spent 12 hours with him, like in Austin a few weeks ago, he posted like 4 or 5 times, and I didn't even know like when he even had his phone out. Like, he moves so fast. He's like constantly, um, taking pictures, taking videos, putting captions, posting it. And I think one thing that people need to think about is you're already doing the work. Whatever it is that you're trying to brand yourself as, you're doing the work of that daily. Why not capture your audience that you're looking for by filming it, documenting it, putting it out there in social media, and communicating a brand as an authority figure, right? In whatever your domain is. Like you don't have to like carve out 2 or 3 hours just to do social media and make it like this whole grandiose production. Literally take out your phone, film yourself working, like just do little tiny things. Like I'm even filming myself working, just doing like simple, what I found to be helpful so far recently is just doing like simple, what I call B-roll caption videos where you're just filming yourself for like 30 seconds doing something, and then you overlay that with text, and maybe every 10 seconds it's got a different text, right? And it communicates a message, and subliminally you have the video in the background. I feel like those do really well, especially for me when I don't like know how to make this perfectly filmed um, Instagram post or whatever. So I'll end with that. You're already doing the work. Why not just film it and put it out there? You're not working any harder. You don't have to carve out hours upon hours to do social media. You're doing it. If you're in real estate and you're locking up deals, just film yourself talking to sellers, talking to agents. Film yourself at the closing table, signing, closing papers. That's gangster, right? Like you're closing on deals. Film yourself doing everything. If you're sending out LOIs, film yourself doing that. If you're training people, film yourself doing that. Like film everything and post it. You're already doing the work. There's no sense in not filming it, because when you film stuff, think about how many times like that's going to be out there, right? As you continue to grow your brand over and over and over again. Pace talks about like he doesn't even like talking on stages that much anymore, because when he goes on stage, there's, let's say there's 1,000 people in the audience. His reach is 1,000 people. Now, the reach of 1,000 people is really important because people value like in-person touch, and it like enhances his brand, right? But if you think about when he makes a post and his post can reach 150,000 people, what do you think has more of an impact? Him speaking in front of 1,000 people audience, or him posting on Instagram and it reaches 150,000 people? Like the velocity in which his brand can increase is exponential by posting on social media, like far outweighs speaking in conferences, like hands down. And that's why he's like not even really wanting to do it that much. And so that, my friends, hopefully you got some sort of value out of my 2 cents on social media, and why I think you just need to take action, just do it. Don't try to be perfect. Make things happen. Don't be afraid that you say stupid things. It doesn't matter. No one's watching your content at first. Eventually, people will. Just get out there, post, take action, show people what you're doing, document your journey, and eventually your audience will start to grow little by little over time. And that's it. Pretty simple. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you got some value out of that. I'll keep doing stuff like this. And again, like I've gone live. I've done, so I did a podcast this morning. I did it on the back deck of my property, of this property. That wasn't by accident. I did that to show the view of like what this view could be for someone wanting to do a podcast here. So that sends a message of like, wow, that's a beautiful view. I went live earlier today, me at the property, showing the property, and then I'm going live again today, right? So like I've done 3 things branding wise to extend the fact that, hey, I'm here in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, getting this property ready. This property is going to be basically a content machine place that um, people can come, have workshops, do all sorts of things. So I got a comment here. What tools do you advise to use? What tools are you talking about? Social media? So let me think. If you want to talk about gear, um, I got a few minutes. I can talk about that. So it depends on how serious you are. You can go all in. I have gone all in. I will tell you that. Like I am on the deep end of where's my drink on expenditures on social media. The most simplest thing. If you're just getting started, my advice is don't spend a single penny. Take out your phone and just film on your phone. That's it. Right now, I am on my cell phone. Nothing else. The audio probably isn't great, but the video is probably pretty decent. You know, the video on your phone is really, really good if you have a newer phone. That's what I would recommend. Don't use anything else other than your phone. If you're going to do a podcast on your computer. Don't use anything else. Don't spend any money on anything. Prove to yourself first that you're serious about this. And if you're serious about it, then start taking the steps to invest more in technology and better equipment, that kind of stuff. So if you're just talking about making posts on growing your Facebook, growing your Instagram, growing your TikTok, I would just use your phone. Honestly, that's it. If you're talking about growing a YouTube channel, you probably need to invest in a higher quality camera. I have a can't even talk, DJI. I don't know why that was so hard to say. Osmo Pocket 3, best camera ever. I used a Insta360 camera. I bought that camera because it had a 360 view, and that's what sold me. And I thought that was so much better. I was wrong. You know, it created this weird fisheye view. I just didn't like it. Like it was just really weird. The video was always distorted. So I used the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I got the creator content kit, and then I also bought a couple mics with that, and I have a lapel. I don't think I have it with me. Actually, I have part of it with me. The rest of it's downstairs. So I have this mic and this lapel. I just like it because I can lapel it to my shirt, and then I can just talk into it, and it's I don't have to hold the mic. A lot of people will hold the mic like this. I just personally don't like it, and so that's what I use for all of my content that I film for YouTube, for Instagram. I'd say 9 times out of 10, or no, probably 8 times out of 10, I'm using my phone. And I have Instagram and Facebook connected. So whenever I make a post on Instagram, it shares to my Facebook. Whenever I make a story, it shares to my Facebook, and vice versa, because Facebook owns Instagram. So whenever I share to my Facebook, it goes to my Instagram, right? Then I'll reuse content. I'll reuse it and I'll put it on TikTok as well. Sometimes I'll put it on LinkedIn. I need to get better at putting it on LinkedIn. I want to start putting more content on LinkedIn. Another thing to not be afraid of is the algorithms on Facebook and Instagram and all the social media platforms. They suppress a lot of your content. So even if you have followers that on multiple platforms, unless they're engaging with you every single day, there's a high chance that they're not even going to see it. So I wouldn't be afraid. I repost, I'll post the same thing on Facebook, the same thing on Instagram, the same thing on TikTok, the exact same post. And I'm just trying to get reach on every platform, and then I'll post the same thing again. YouTube Shorts. I like using YouTube Shorts. That helps grow my audience. If I'm doing podcasts, I have a lot more of an expensive setup. So I have a YouTube, I have a studio in my house, and it's got two Sony Easy EV. I don't know. It's Sony something Easy EV10. I can't ever remember how to say it. Those are pretty really good bang for your buck cameras. And then I have a Rodecaster Video, and the Rodecaster Video has. I actually have some of those, some of that equipment set up here with me at this property. I traveled with some of it, so wait, where's the light switch? I'll show some of that real quick. I do have to go though here in a few minutes, but I'll just show this real quick. So I'll use the Rodecaster Video, and the Rodecaster Video is really nice because it syncs the audio and video. So if I go in here, I don't like the traditional Rodecaster Pro. So this is the Rodecaster Pro. You can see all these cables. It's just a freaking mess. Like the Rodecaster Video consolidates the audio and video into one module, and then I can just plug that into my computer, and it's like the audio and video is synced. Traditionally, it sounds crazy, but if you look at this camera, for example, this is the Sony ZV-E10. I finally figured it out. ZV-E10. So it's a 4K camera. And this is what I used for my podcast today, where I did this on the deck. So I had it facing out the window. Obviously, it's nighttime. You can't see it. And so if I go here, so now wait. Oh, that's legit. Like just the reflection off the mirror. That's crazy. It looks like it's not even that. So I have the ZV-E10. This cable, really, really long cable. It's plugged into an A10 Mini Pro. And the A10 Mini Pro, what that A10 Mini Pro does is allows you to have multiple cameras. And you don't need this in the new Rodecaster Video because it's all synced up. But for the old setup, this technology didn't exist until like a year ago. The Rodecaster Pro here, and I know I'm just like, you asked a question and you're just like, bro, what is he talking about? Like, this is way over my head. With this Rodecaster Pro here, this syncs the audio, only audio. So video is completely separate. You have to combine all of that stuff. So to do that in real time, I have to plug some sort of video connection feed into my computer and some sort of audio connection feed into my computer at the same time for you to hear me on the podcast. It is not combined. With the Rodecaster Video, it is combined. So it's like you plug everything into the Rodecaster Video, one plug into your computer, you're done. That's what you think it should be like, right? It should just be that way. Well, that technology didn't exist until about a year ago, surprisingly, with like really high quality mics. So this module here controls, and again, I'm leaving this at this property just because it's an outdated version. But this Rodecaster, let's see, this Procaster, that's the name of this mic. It's really expensive. It's like a $230 mic. This is plugged into the back of the Rodecaster Rodecaster Pro. And that's how the audio, when I talk into this, that's where you hear the audio. And this controls, it can feed up to, what is this, 3 or 4? 4 different microphones. And this is the old version, but the only thing this does is audio. It doesn't do video. So the video is completely separate. This controls the audio levels. So I'm going to turn that off. So you can see all these cables, like it's kind of a mess right now, right? There's a lot of cables versus the Rodecaster Video. You don't have all that mess, which I like a lot more. But that one's at my studio back at home. So I have 2 cameras. Whoops, can't even see. Well, I guess I have to turn that off to get back upstairs. Now you can't see me, but that's okay. I have 2 cameras that I don't ever touch. They never move because it's really painful to like change the setup of that. And then basically all my technology is all set up to where when I walk into my basement in my studio, I just plug it into my computer, turn my camera on, turn my lights on, ready to film, ready to rock and roll. But if you're not doing podcast, and that's what I'm only using that for podcast. If you're not doing podcast, all you really need is your phone. It's that simple. So anyways, I said I was going to be installing outlet covers tonight, and I didn't do any of that. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's late night social media jam session. If you want to learn anything else, drop a comment, and I'll check that out later. Hopefully it's provided value, and I will see you guys next time.